Someone get Gary Payton out here. I need somebody to yell at me to get me fired up. Let's go!
Ooh, baby, that felt good. Hello, and welcome into the PHNX Suns post-game show, fresh off, dare I say, the best win of the season. I'm Eric, that's Steven, Espo, Noah behind the Mac, making all the magic happen. Y'all in the chat, making all the magic happen as your Phoenix Suns took down the Warriors 130 to 105, and you know what that means. Hold on to your horses and get ready for some very, 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 very public, sexy sax. Oh, it's a fake sax. We make do. We make do. Again, thank you to everybody who is joining us here on PHNX Suns, and a big shout out to everybody who joined us here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass for another PHNX Suns watch party. We had so many new faces, old faces, everybody together celebrating a fantastic win. Shout out to everybody that I got to meet today, especially Nate, who came all the way from Missouri. I'm going to say he came all the way for us, but he came all the way from Missouri. Thank you so much, Nate. Mega Giants, Bees, Chomatic, FASJ,
Whoa.
Sandman,
Be careful.
Girth Jr.
I think you almost said something we're not allowed to say.
Almost said it.
On fast channels.
I'm just really excited, and of course, I'm letting everybody know the PHNX Suns post-game show is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm done yapping. It's time for Steven and Espo to take us through. Am I correct in saying the best win of the season, Espo?
The most complete win of the season, the best game that they've played this season, the most inspired they've looked all season, the best on both ends of the court all season, the best center play that they've gotten all season. This was the best game of the year from the Phoenix Suns, I think, hands down. And people say, well, the Warriors were missing some play. Yeah. But this was domination. This was wire to wire. This was everything that you needed. You had two centers actually play well tonight. This Suns team showed up in a game that they needed in the worst way, and they actually got themselves some rest going into Portland tomorrow night.
41 assists, 14 turnovers. That's a lot of passes made from the team, and it was passes made with intent. This arguably was their sharpest game comprehensively in terms of their offensive process, taking the principles that we've known for them to communicate is the style that they want to play, and seeing them do that in multiple different ways. I think there's a handful of instances that I'll speak to over the course of the episode, but they led with their offense. They set the tone with their offense both in the first quarter and to start the second half. The defense ultimately picked up the baton off of that. And for the first time in a while, we saw both sides of the ball playing off of the successes that the other side saw.
And I think this is the first time all year we saw this team play random in the best way possible. This is what Coach Bud envisioned his offense to look like. Ball moving around, them hitting threes, them being aggressive around the hoop, having a big man that can actually clean up the boards as well. Overall, this was the first time, for the most part, that I felt comfortable with that offense for a complete 4 quarters.
I wish I could bottle this feeling that we all have right now, because chat is firing away. They're so happy. They're saying it's the best win of the season. You two up here saying it's the best win of the season. I also believe it's the best win of the season. But do you know what that means for this specific show? That means we need to make a like goal so astronomical that people are going to laugh when they hear it. Espo, how many likes does this stream need to get for the best win of the season?
99.
Oh, brother.
No higher than that?
Higher.
105.
Higher.
175.
You're not thinking big enough. You know what?
250.
You know what?
350.
There you go. Steven, you're my guy. 350.
All right.
350 likes is the like goal.
Bing
Shout out to
bong.
everybody live on YouTube. Shout out to everybody joining us afterwards. And, of course, everybody listening on audio. Y'all are my people, too. JDQ says it in the chat. Hit that like button. For me, the biggest part about this win that doesn't come down specifically to what they did well, but just overall, big picture, is the fact that you're coming off that game against Minnesota, right? You beat the Clippers, you go into Minnesota, you blow your lead in the second half, you get absolutely punked on your home court, you go on the road and you're taking on somebody who, yes, isn't great, but is only half a game behind you in the Western Conference standings. And front to back, start to finish, first half, second half, third quarter, all of it involved. Espo, every step of the way, when Golden State fired back, when they hit you with their cross, when they hit you with the hook, the Suns hit back, and that is not something they've done all season.
Well, yeah, we saw in that third that Steph kind of got going a little bit, and they didn't let that waver. That was where I thought, oh, here we go. Steph Curry's going to get hot. This team's going to collapse. They're not going to play defense. You know, they had some lapses tonight, at times, but I thought at that point it was like, all right, here's where we've seen this film before. And they didn't let it happen. And I don't care who you're playing at this point. You need every win you can get. And there is no bad win, there can be ugly wins, but there's no bad win. You can't look and go, well, they missed X, Y, and Z. No. Tonight was a win that you had to have against a team that you're going to be battling for in a Western Conference that from the 4 seed to the 11th seed is going to come down to mere games. Like, it's going to be, it could be 3 or 4 games that separate 4 from 11. You need these wins. They took care of it, and they took care of it convincingly.
The most comprehensive for them. I can't say that enough. It felt like they truly married both sides of the ball. And speaking to what Espo was, Golden State's a team that presses about top third percentage of the time in terms of how they play defense. That's one form of resistance that they're usually able to bring forth against opponents. They brought that to the Suns in the second half specifically, pretty much the entire second half until garbage time. The Suns didn't fold. I feel like that's been one of their weaknesses. When teams can extend pressure and make them work with less time in the shot clock, they still efficiently and effectively got into their half-court offense and cycled through multiple advantages, finding the best shot quality, taking that shot, and then executing. It's one thing to be able to get into your offense, and it's another thing to create it, and then you have to stamp a period on that, and it felt like they did that plenty tonight.
And Steven, you mentioned in our pregame show, which if you don't know, we do pregame shows 30 minutes before tip-off every single game. You mentioned how even without Draymond Green, who was a big miss for Golden State tonight, they have a very good defense, top 10 in defensive rating in the league. So what you just said becomes that much more impressive when you realize, yes, you did it against a team below you in the standings, but a team who excels on that end of the court.
Yeah, and that's something coming into the game. The Warriors are one of the best teams in the league at taking away the three-point line from their opponents. And if you do happen to get to a solid number of makes, it's going to take an astronomical number of attempts. The Suns had both of those in their favor, and to be able to dictate that way speaks to how they met the resistance and still continue to dictate going forward.
Let's keep it rolling, guys. Chat, keep on going off. We appreciate every single one of you here. Let's go player by player. I think it's a really good time to get into our big, bright, shining star, of course, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Shining star.
It is Devin Armani Booker, fresh off of an all-star snub, if you want to call it. 12 of 23 from the field, 5 of 11 from the three-point line, good for 31 points, 11 assists tonight, a double-double for Devin Booker, adding 5 rebounds, a steal, only 2 turnovers, only 2 fouls, and a plus 28. We talked pregame, Espo. We might see a motivated Book tonight, and that is what it felt like.
Look, you got FU Devin Booker.
Good.
Right? And that is what you need. And we talked about it. I don't know if it's the snub or the perceived snub.
Sure.
Or it's that he knows he's that close to setting the franchise all-time scoring record, which he's now, 60 points away from doing that. So he's motivated right now, and this is the guy you need for this team to succeed in the long run, right? Because it takes the pressure off of Kevin Durant. It allows him to be himself and go out there and do what he does. Like, he's the reason they had the knockout blow in the third quarter.
Yep.
He came out and hit those 3 threes in that short amount of time, and that was it. He took care of what little hope the Warriors had, and that was in part because Devin Booker carried most of the load. Loved it tonight. He played fantastic, but this is the guy that they need the rest of the way. They need him locked in. No dumb turnovers. They played well. He had 11 assists. It was just pretty overall.
31 points?
Mm-hmm.
You said he had 11 assists?
Mm-hmm.
27 assist points created from those 11 assists.
And the hockey assists.
50, correct. To my point, 58 points combined come from Devin Booker. That's 45% of the points the Suns scored tonight.
Yep.
And how many turnovers did he have in this game?
2.
When he's efficient with his playmaking and they sequence it over the course of the game the way that they need to, not just him coming up the court and waiting for somebody to set a screen, and the defense has all got 4 sets of eyes on them, if not 5, depending on what the screener is doing. That's the way that they need to go about playing. He had dynamic touch after dynamic touch after touch-off movement off of dynamic touches all cycled through in the first half. That allowed for his rhythm as a scorer to set the tone. And then from there, they started loading the gaps. They started doing the Warriors things that they do defensively. And he was just making the right pass time and time again.
And the way that they were using Book as far as the dynamic touches you mentioned, Steven, was something I believe even as recently as last post-game show. We talked about wanting Mike Budenholzer to implement more with Booker because that's when he's at his most dangerous. I don't think that it's a coincidence that you can sit here saying that's how they utilized him, and you look at 31 points and 11 assists. Probably the most complete game from Book in what's been an up-and-down season. And we mentioned the All-Star stuff, Espo. If Devin Booker was playing like this on a nightly basis in just 34 minutes, by the way, it wouldn't be a question. He'd be a surefire all-star. And again, one of the most important parts about Book going off tonight is the fact that Kevin Durant also only played 29 minutes. Now, Kevin Durant was needed for that knockout blow at the end of the third quarter, but he was able to sit, rest, only score 19 tonight on 6 of 13 from the field. After the amount of work and pressure that you've put on Kevin Durant at this point in his career, Espo, this is the type of pairing where we saw the future. We saw, okay, if Devin Booker can go off, KD can rest. If KD can go off, then Book can rest. You saw that in play tonight in a blowout. That is perfection.
Well, and Kevin Durant was 3 of 10 before that run in the third quarter, right? He was having an off night shooting, at least for those middle 2 quarters. So I know the KD stands are going to scream and cry that he only had 13 shots. Well, he came out and he hit those 3 in the third quarter, and he didn't need to play the fourth.
Nope.
So he would have had more shots in the fourth. And isn't this the way that you want to minute manage with him? Like, because everybody talks about, he's 36. Oh, there was the injuries early on in the season. But, oh, look how well he's playing. But look at all the minutes he's playing. This is the way you cut down on his minutes. You let him rest an entire fourth quarter. You don't need him to score 30 in a game. Well, some of us did, but you don't need him as a team to score 30 when you can win by 25 with him playing 29 minutes and scoring 19. There's nothing wrong with that because you know when you need him to score 30? When you get into the playoffs or when you get into the stretch run that you need it. I would like him to have more games like this through this middle part of the year so he can be fresh when you come down to the playoff time. This was the perfect kind of game because you got him limited minutes when you got to play again tomorrow.
This was a perfect template for offense for them for obvious reasons in terms of the results we saw. But also, this felt like a lighter usage game for Kevin Durant too. When he can comfortably space, and because of the level of play that Devin Booker's at, but the requisite attention in terms of defensive capital have to be spent to guard him or take him away, and the ball is moving the way that it is, and Kevin Durant can just catch and shoot. Like, that's genuinely one of his best traits. How often does he actually get to lean into that?
Not often.
Well, that's the way they used him the first season he was here.
The most expensive decoy in the world.
Well, but the thing was, he was having unbelievable offensive nights then, too, and with limited mileage being added to him, right? He even did it in the playoffs then. And you know why he was able to do that? Because Devin Booker was scoring as well. That's the path to success. This team's 23-9 when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant play this year. Those two guys have to be great for this team to be able to reach what they hope they can reach as a group. Sure, can you add a few things along the margins or maybe take a big swing with a third guy you add to them? Yes, but if those two don't perform at a top level, you're not getting anywhere regardless of who you get. So I want to see both of them feast, you know?
Sure, and that's the template. That's why you build this team. I know originally we talked about Bradley Beal being in that mix, but I think it's very clear. This team goes as Durant and Booker go, but that doesn't mean that everybody else wasn't a major factor in winning tonight. We're going to name a PHNX-Factor. It might not be who you're thinking it's going to be, and we're going to talk about everybody else who's contributed.
I'll put fake money on it. I'll put Monopoly money on it. Nobody in the chat.
Nobody
in the chat.
Okay. Well, how about this?
Like, what, 2.5, 3 minutes to choose?
Sound off in the chat. Let us know who you think PHNX-Factor was tonight. I want to give a quick shout-out to Skate Ethos. That is Nate, who says, I drove all the way here from Missouri just for the takeover. They didn't even invite me on the pod. Snuck into the background anyway. I know there was more reasons why you came out here, Nate, but I highly, highly appreciate you coming out here. Everybody who came out and I got to shake hands with today at our watch party out at Wild Horse Pass at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We'll be back with more takes on your son's best game of the season right after this.
We got a new sponsor here. Breaking news. Waymo is part of the family now, and I got to tell you, they are autonomous vehicles that you're going to want to take a ride in, all right? All you got to do, you got to use the Waymo One app. Easy. You call the car, it shows up, you get in, it's just you. It's not a ride sharing.
Okay, but that sounds super nice. It must be like a bummy car, right? Like an old, broke down.
It's the same car I drive. It's a Jaguar. Or a Jaguar. However you want to call it, that's what it is, right? All electric. This thing's amazing. You get in, you get to choose your music. Or your podcast if you want to listen to us.
It should be podcast.
And then you can take it to anywhere. I'm going to take the spring training.
Okay.
Maybe I'll take it out to the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open. There's all sorts of options that you can use, and you can go basically anywhere in the valley. And they have 150,000 trips per week across San Francisco, Los Angeles, and now Phoenix. And they are the first company to serve a fully autonomous ride with no human behind the wheel since 2015. It's unbelievable what they've been able to do. So download the Waymo One app and ride today and tell them Aspo sent you. It's not going to matter. Nobody's in the car.
Now, but you are in the car driving. You want to make sure that you stop by your local Circle K. And I can tell you where the nearest Circle K is to you. Just walk outside wherever you are right now. Look to your left. Look to your right, and you're probably going to see one because Circle K is everywhere, not just because they're the best place to get your gas, your snacks, and your drinks, but also because they want to save you money with the Inner Circle. That is their free membership program. You can sign up by just downloading the Circle K app today. Enter your
just
phone
an
number.
app?
Just the app.
What
Download the app, put your phone number or your email in, and you're all ready. You're already signed up. By the time this ad read is over, you can be signed up. You can get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Save money every day. After that, plus you get member-exclusive beverage deals, snack deals, and so much more. All you got to do, join the Inner Circle for free. Download that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations, but make sure you visit CircleK.com for details. Thank you, Nathan, Optical Illusion, Exodus, Luis, Carlos, Braden, Knights, Fat Daddy Brian. That's a great name. Devin and everybody else in the chat that I don't have time to mention. We appreciate every single one of you who are in here right now on a late Friday night. We're going to get to your super chats in just a second, so make sure you keep those super chats rolling in. But we had all of you guess, predict, who is PHNX-Factor?
Drum roll, please.
We don't have the sounder, but it's just as intense. Espo, you selected the PHNX-Factor for tonight.
X gonna give it to you. It's Gary Payton.
Why?
Because he talked crap straight to Kevin Durant from the stands in Golden State, and Kevin Durant said, I got the banners up there in the rafter, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to hit 3 straight threes. I'm going to hit some shots in your eye. I'm going to put this game away. I'm going to sit on the bench the rest of the time, and you're going to enjoy a 25-point blowout for the team that your kid plays for.
Shout out Exodus 15 in the chat. Predicted it.
I thought Exodus got it.
I thought you were just
Exodus got it for sure.
I thought you were just shouting out Bible passages.
I ain't that guy.
Shout out Corinthians 15:15.
Gary Payton had Kevin Durant playing straight religious on the court out there. Okay. Obviously, that was a really fun moment, them jawing back and forth. But I'm going to be honest with you. Beyond Gary Payton, pretty big competition for PHNX-Factor tonight. You can go Nick Richards with 14 points and 16 rebounds. You can do Bradley Beal, who had 21 points off the bench and was a plus 10. You can even go Grayson Allen, who, yes, only had 11 points, but added 7 assists and 6 rebounds in there as well. Beyond Gary Payton, Steven, who would you have given PHNX-Factor?
Nick freaking Richards. BNE. That man, and you come from where I came from. If you don't know, I'm from Chicago. If you hear BNE, that's not Big Nick energy. It's an illegal participation of activities that is trespassing. That's very much the energy that Nick Richards came with in tonight's game. He broke into the paint for the Golden State Warriors, and he entered and he got everything he wanted. And then guess what? Went back to the other end and probably grabbed another one, did the same thing. Then came back to the offensive end and probably did the same thing again. So it was a whole lot of BNE from Nick Richards tonight. And I think that's the bully type of blue-collar mentality that he has to have for them.
And mind you, Espo, that stat line, 14 and 16 with 2 blocks and a plus 19, only came in 24 minutes.
Oh, he was impactful. I mean, when he came back in, I think it was early fourth. It might have been late third. He had a couple dunks right away. He was all over the boards. This is why you bring him in. Now, obviously Mason Plumlee played really well behind him, which helped. But he's an answer at the center position. You probably need to get another.
Definitely
I'm gonna stand by that before the end of the trade deadline on Thursday. But Nick Richards is doing everything that you asked him to come in here and do. Give you energy, be part of that Nick and roll, and get those lobs, grab the boards, and just play free. And that's what he's done, and did it in short minutes tonight too, which means he's going to be fresh for all those centers that Portland can throw out there. We know a couple of them.
Yeah, we're slightly aware. I do want to give a shout out. I could have mentioned Mason Plumlee in contention for PHNX-Factor. 10 points, which might be a season high for him. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 blocks, 0 turnovers, which is also pretty big for Mason Plumlee. In just 15 minutes, incredibly efficient. This might be the best total game from a center the Suns have gotten since DeAndre Ayton and JaVale McGee. And I do believe that Mason Plumlee's impact, as far as having to just be, as you would put it, Steven, felt on the court, made it so much easier for when Nick Richards came in. It wasn't like the center position got a break. It wasn't like they were like, okay, now let's lock back in. They had to constantly be aware of what was going on down low, which opens up Booker, which opens up a couple of the other players like Bradley Beal that we mentioned. Having Mason in tandem with Nick Richards gives a slight taste of what a passable center rotation could look like for this team.
It does. I'll slightly reword what you said if it's coming from me because Nick definitely set the tone.
Sure, yes, absolutely.
So for me, Mason picked up the baton off of what Nick did.
But we've seen him pick up that baton and go straight down.
That's what I'm getting ready to get to. The fact that he was able to pick it up and not drop it.
Yeah.
He was able to keep it to a certain level to where Nick didn't have to go all the way to the ground or to the basement to pick up that same baton. He was able to kind of comfortably pick it up and continue to, like you said, just dominate from the center room. It's not something that the Suns have been used to this season.
No, they were used to their big men just dropping it any time it hit them in the hands. No, look, early on you thought, oh, okay, some of the rotations defensively, there were a few things, but I keep calling him Miles. I'm going to continue to do that.
It's
Mason,
part of the heart.
Man, we halfway through the season. Get it together, champ.
Look, man.
Two different types of people.
Look. Mason is going to – yeah, it's the old ones that used to work with Miles
No,
Plumlee.
I'm saying Stephen was like, get it together, and I'm like, it's okay.
Oh, I thought you were just saying I'm old. Yeah. No, look, Mason went out there.
Saving that for later
and did the dirty work. And that's what you need from whatever center comes off the bench is exactly that. Yes. I don't need you to be otherworldly. I don't need you to be the second coming of Shaquille O'Neal or Alonzo Mourning. I need you to go out there and don't be a net negative, right? Yep. And Mason Plumlee tonight went out there and had a positive impact. If you get that from your backup center, you're likely going to have a pretty good game if you're the Phoenix Suns, because you have not had that. You have not had a positive impact from your center position at all most of the year. Yep. Tonight, it was a big key in 1-1.
Again, I'll continue to tap the sign on it. For all of the teams in the NBA, the Suns arguably have the easiest role for any center to play. All you have to do is play with multiple efforts, grab some rebounds, set some solid screens, and finish in the advantages that they inevitably create for you. It's as streamlined as it gets across the entire NBA. They're not asking you to shoot threes. They're not asking you to switch every time you set a screen or someone sets a screen defensively. Just be solid. If they can be solid, clean up the boards, and score off the advantages efficiently that they create for them on offense, there's an easy lane, or avenue for them to be a positive at the end of every game and every stint of minutes.
Hey, we want you to be a positive. Let's get to that like goal.
Dude.
Hit that like button. There's over 500 of you in here right now. You're being lazy if you haven't hit the like button.
Yeah,
just going to say it.
I think people forget this about the like button. It's free. It's absolutely free, and it actually helps us so much. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us do events out here to meet all of you guys at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Our like goal is 350. We are setting the tone for the best win of the season. We are going to get to your Super Chats. I want to continue this conversation about the center role. We'll take a break. We'll do Super Chats after that. But when it comes specifically to what you were saying, Steven, I think that's where a lot of frustration was lying, not just in myself personally, but in all Suns fans when it came to what they were getting out of the center role beforehand, where it felt so simple. You're not asking, like you said, to even be that much of a playmaker this year because you added Tyus Jones, because you continue to run the ball through Devin Booker. You don't need Point Nurk like we were talking about going into the previous season. You just need somebody to do the dirty work. Yep. And I really, really hope that that kind of blueprint is like analyzed from Mason Plumlee, Oso Iguodala, anybody that steps in that position, because I really do believe that it's going to be a career elevator for somebody like Nick Richards, who is a career backup, could probably be a backup on this team, but gets sometimes starting level minutes with a couple score-first superstars. Yep. That can up the type of contract you're going to sign after this.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Goga Patadze and Robert Williams III or Nikola Vucevic, like, those guys can help at center, right?
Yeah,
right? They could do that, right?
I mean, they can definitely help.
I'm greedy. Add more to this, all right? Let's actually ride the wave here.
Yeah.
This team, on nights like tonight, you look at it and you go, I can see why they feel confident about this group. Like I said earlier, 23-9 with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant playing together. You see why this could be a team that could compete in a West that's jam-packed right now. Plus, when you look at who's at the top, OKC has some experience, but Houston and Memphis are two teams that don't have experience in the playoffs. You're right? So those are teams that even though they're top-seeded, you might be able to knock off. Like, go out there, build on something like tonight. Don't backslide against Portland the next two games. Build on it.
So I want to just say, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Lots of energy about the rotations as well, and we are going to get to the rotations, and we are going to get to your Super Chats. When it comes to tonight's game, though, like you mentioned, both of us, all of us mentioned, best game of the season. Can't just have one X Factor or two X Factors. Who would be your third runner-up for PHNX-Factor, Steven?
Well, after the conversations we had post-game and the lack of sustained approach on offense, and hearing everything that Mike Budenholzer said post-game, saying that they could have been better with their spacing, to put Devin Booker in positions to be successful rather than some of the turnovers he had because of their spacing being just downright terrible in that second half against Minnesota. It was their spacing templates that they worked through today were as impeccable as it felt like they had been in any game over the last 2.5 months of the season. And it was special to see. Like, you see the prolific levels that this team can reach when the principles are being played to and the ball is moving in tandem with Devin Booker leveraging his scoring and his playmaking together. I feel like we saw a lot of that. The second quarter, Mike Budenholzer goes to the small ball lineup. That lineup goes +8, immediately following a run of almost double digits where the Warriors were coming back in that game. He goes to small ball in 2 different lineups. I think they go +7, and one of those lineups went +8 over that stretch with KD at the 5. They go into the half with a lead and a run, and then they pick up the baton off of that in the third quarter. And then they get to the early fourth quarter to put the Warriors away, and they go to the same action about 5 separate times. That continues to be one of the hallmark moments for the Suns. When their offense is really humming, they can literally run the same action 4 or 5 times in a row, get a different look almost every single time, and you're just at their mercy because they're just cycling through the randomness of their actions, and they're blending everything together into one process.
Do you think tonight was a case of these guys getting more used to playing alongside each other? Because random's tough to play. And if you don't have a point guard like a Chris Paul, your system becomes very important to keep turnovers down. And it felt like they just weren't familiar, were uncomfortable at times earlier. Today felt like finally they had some faith in where their guys were going to be, and I feel like that might have played a part in the offense tonight.
When you can stack stops and play off of your defense to break up the mundaneness of always bringing it up the court against a set defense, that just helps with your confidence. And with this team, when they're playing off of stops and they're scoring and everybody's touching the ball on 3-4 possessions in a row, that builds a confidence that can't be like swayed by 1 or 2 stops from a defense. And that's the resistance that the Warriors were bringing because the Suns were so consistent defensively and playing into their offense. It just grows into a collective confidence that's almost unstoppable.
And that's why we were begging for it at the start of the season. Not only is the center position something that's so simple, but it feels like the blueprint, the game plan for this team should be simple. And Bradley Beal fit into that tonight with 21 points off the bench. I think he could be in there for PHNX-Factor. We're going to keep talking about this game. We are going to talk about, you mentioned getting greedy, Espo. Trades. There's been a lot of trade rumors out there. We're going to get to that at the end of the show, so make sure you stick around. About 500 of you in here right now. We're live from Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass after our PHNX Suns watch party. Make sure you smash that like button. We are over halfway to our like goal and just about halfway through the show. We're making great pace, and it's thanks to all of you in the chat, but we have more than enough of you to already pass that like goal immediately. Hit that like button. Make sure you're tuned in, and we're going to get to all of your super chats right after another break.
You know where I like to get greedy?
I do.
At dinner tables. And you know where I love eating?
Spinatos.
That is correct. They have some of the best pizza in the Valley. Even if you have restrictions, diet restrictions, my family's gluten-free. And they have unbelievable gluten-free crust. They've got an unbelievable chicken crust. It's a chicken keto crust.
I need to try that.
I love it. It is fantastic. I'm a big cheese pizza guy. I'm very simple. They've got one of the best cheese pizzas you're ever going to have over at Spinato's. It is unbelievable, and they've got Valley locations across the entire city. And you know what? You can get a chance to win free Suns tickets when they host some of their official watch parties throughout the season. You can watch the game with the Phoenix Suns dancers and the gorilla. I wonder if the G League mascot's going to be out there too.
Ray?
Yeah, Ray. Head out there and get all the info on the watch parties and pizza at SpinatosPizzeria.com. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. I didn't realize that Noah put a clock.
Yeah, there you go.
Folks.
How about that? But you were right on time anyway. How about that? Listen, if you watched our pregame show, which again happens 30 minutes before, we did a lot of trash talking, and by me, I mean me, over about Bet365. Now, none of us hit our bets. Kind of sad, but maybe you could do better with us if you download the Bet365 app and use code PHNX365 at sign up. Not only does Bet365 have 90 million users year-wide, but they also have early payout offers across NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. Plus, right now, win or lose, breaking news from Bet365. Wii U. New customers get $150 in bonus
work
bets
on your Wii U
when you bet $5. I'm in the middle of an ad here, man. We can talk about this afterwards. Win or lose, sign up, use code PHNX and deposit $10 and place a bet for For $5, you get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary. Over at Bet365, you must be 21 plus and physically located in AZ. If you or someone you know has gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. So what do I need to do better? Teach me.
Well, you got to. There's passion to it.
I was trying to
First
fit it in the
off,
ad read.
Then there's a tone to it and a speed. It's wee breaking news. You got to get it in there, and I think we're gonna hear that a lot this next week.
I hope so.
Don't try it.
Let me just.
We just heard it in Mercury Land.
Let me channel my inner Espo.
Twice this week.
Tell me the Phoenix Suns just made a trade for Jimmy Butler.
Well, this just in. The Phoenix Suns made a trade for Jimmy Butler. They send out Colin Gillespie and nothing else.
Breaking news.
No, that wasn't.
Dang. Okay, well, I'll keep it.
That's a finesse, if anything.
I will keep it to the pros with Espo. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat.
It's like you're using your right hand. I mean, it's just not good.
Let's just skate on by this. I was going to thank everybody who's watching, but Espo doesn't want me to do that. But he does want me to get to your super chats. If you want your chat read on screen, we'll do it. Any price will do. Let's start it off with Joe. Joe with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Joe. Says, if Beal wouldn't waive his no trade, couldn't KD, Book, and the org just all talk to Beal with sincerity, saying it's just not a good fit? Also, shout out DB.
So, what are they? They think it'd go something like this, Brad. It's not you, it's me, and it really. We love you here in Phoenix. I just don't think it's going to work out. You know, I just don't think we match, and it's all right. You'll find that person for you or that team.
Matter of fact, we can help you.
Well, I'm willing to pack you up and help you get there. All right? I'm willing to let that person know it wasn't you, that was me. It was the system we brought you into. It was the fact that I'm already in a relationship with Devin Booker that does many of the same things you do. So how about we just cordially separate? We'll find a warm place. I know you love the warmth. That's what it's about. So how does Sacramento sound to you? Can we interest you in Sacramento? We're not going to send you to New Orleans. We know we're not going to send you to Chicago. We'll find a warm. Sacramento sounds really nice. Can we interest you in it? Is that how they want it to go down?
I mean, I think that's about it, right?
I think it could work.
I mean, listen, I think there is a reality where you go to Bradley Beal and you say, we have a trade, we just don't think it's working out. The only question is, does Bradley Beal agree to that? And that is something that we'll dive into later in the show. But we really thank you so much, Joe, for dropping your super chat. Teddy with a $4.99 super chat says, Nick Richards loves turning into prime Andre Drummond versus teams with poop bigs.
Hey,
true.
It beats the other centers who turned into typical Sun centers against bad bigs.
It's funny. Joe says, yeah, that's actually exactly how it would go, except for you wouldn't talk like that.
No, I think I would.
But, Steven, it is funny. Not funny, but kind of an interesting note. I think there's a pretty clear drop-off of Nick Richards versus the top of the top versus some lower-level centers. It's not much of a surprise for a player like him.
No, it's not. And I think even if the comment is true that Nick turns into prime Andre Drummond against below-average centers, that's such a significant step up from what preceded him with this team.
Amen.
Because they struggled against teams that did not have average to below average centers. So to have that part of your process solved is why I said Nick Richards is not going to solve everything. And by not solving everything in terms of an individual performance, we saw that against Rudy Gobert. We saw that against Ivica Zubac. We saw that against Jarrett Allen. But he helps against the lesser. So now you have to, like I said, he's a piece. You have to find somebody that can step up and be that piece that's at least neutral against the starting caliber centers as well.
You're from Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Illinois, lots of basements, right? You move out here, not so much. Well, what Nick Richards did was said, you're not in a basement home anymore. There's no subfloor here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did. He raised that floor up to, the normal level. And that's what you want from a guy like that, right?
That was a good one. That was a nice freestyle move.
Wanted to make you feel at home and explain it how you
Hey,
could
Steven,
understand.
remember basements? Trevor with a 199 super chat says Devin
What?
Booker All-Star snub should make him go on a tear. You hope?
I mean, that's what we saw last time. He got snubbed. And again, I don't care if it was a snub, if it's a perceived snub by him. Whatever gets you going. Like, sometimes you need external motivation to get you fired up. And if that does it, and that all of a sudden leads to him scoring 30-plus points a game for the rest of the season, so be it. Thank you to the coaches who didn't vote him in. Thank you to the fans who were too lazy to get out there and vote him in. Because if it works out, I'd much rather have him average 30-plus the rest of the way than play in a meaningless exhibition.
Yeah, you could win that bet.
Motivation comes in multiple forms. So how you perceive things is often how you ultimately respond. Are you going to sulk? Are you going to come out and put 31 and 11 up, and then not necessarily to the same extent, but just repeat in terms of your effort and impact on the game? How you going to respond?
And I think if you could take tonight and say not only did he respond to the All-Star snub, but responded to his worst passing game of the season, 9 turnovers with 11 assists.
Exactly.
There are ways for Book to continue to build and be better, and that's going to be an encouraging thing for this team. As bad as the Suns have been at certain stretches, it's come with Devin Booker not being Devin Booker. If this is what it takes to kind of wake him up a little bit more, then so be it. But I will pass this along for those of you who aren't aware. Book did talk about it before the game, and at shoot-around says, quote, I think there's enough talented guys out there that are deserving. Of course, after missing the All-Star game, says, I mean, you look at Kyrie Irving, Norman Powell. Those guys are having unbelievably efficient years and winning games. And on the East, I'm sure there's guys too, like Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, that are just putting up unheard of numbers. So the more talent is there, the better, I think. So he's saying, let's expand the rosters. A bunch of people are getting snubbed. You can also throw Domantas Sabonis in there as well.
Yeah.
If you want more All-Star talk, too, Espo and I recorded a Southwest Bias. It's live on PHNX Sports. Right after this, if you're staying up late or your first watch tomorrow morning, it can be Southwest Bias. Espo and I got into it about Booker maybe being snubbed, the format of the All-Star game, does it even really matter, and so much more. So make sure you head over there, and you are right here on PHNX Sports. You've subscribed, and you hit that like button as well. Let's continue to go through your Super Chats. Billy with a $4.99 Super Chat. Thank you so much. Billy says, am I the only one that feels good about Beal? We need to keep him. Suns to the finals.
Look, he's doing everything he asked, right? And he has since he's been here. Now, I think if you're given the opportunity to get off that contract, you do it, right? Just because of what it means for the future. Now, if they don't, could this team figure it out? Could Bradley Beal accept that bench role and be a positive like he was tonight? Sure. This is not a Yusuf Nurkic situation where he's going to, turn to the media and say negative things and cause problems with this team. He'll do the job. The question is, can he do it well enough for this team for an extended period of time and stay healthy enough to help them reach their goals? I don't know that he can, and that's why if I got the opportunity before Thursday, I'd probably take it to move off of that deal if he'd accept to waive that no trade clause to go to that next team.
I agree. I don't really have much to add to that. It's the tough part of when you have someone on your roster that does have a no-trade clause. Naturally, when you sign them to that no-trade clause, if you're the Wizards, you don't think that you're ever going to want to use it as part of the, giving them a salute, like, hey, we're going to give you this money, but off of your loyalty and your performance with us, we're going to give you this little bit of a thing to kind of spice it up some. And then you get into a situation like this where things hit the fan in D.C., gets traded to a destination that he wants to go to, and then things kind of spiral a little bit out of control. But what I will say, to your point about the Nurkic versus Beal thing, I still don't think that at Beal's worst, he's even close to the negative in terms of the impact on the court and the lost trust in the locker room realms that Nurkic is in now. And that speaks to Bradley Beal, the teammate, in and of itself.
Absolutely. Right there. 100%. I think this team can't reach its ceiling with Bradley Beal. I just think, unfortunately, the fit is not what we thought it could be when he first got traded. I don't think you can hit the peak with Book and Durant with Beal there. By no means does that mean that Bradley Beal is a bad basketball player or Bradley Beal cannot bring value to this team. Now, he will never bring the amount of value that his contract brings simply because the fit's not there. But if you do keep him on the roster, there's a world where he helps you in the playoffs. Now, I don't think this team can win a championship with Bradley Beal, but I think they can be a good team with him.
I think they could, but you're got to thread a needle that is very very slim,
it's a
right?
real long shot.
And that's the thing, and I think that window is slimmer than with some of the other people you might be able to get. But I don't think he would be a guy that would cause this team to implode on itself if he didn't move.
Absolutely. We have more of your super chats. We have more talks about trades, by the numbers, and so much more. The PHNX Suns postgame show rolls on after our final break. Oh, I'm super excited to tell everybody that if you are trying to sell your home right now, that I have the best place for you to do it. You can rest easy as long as you write down this number. 480-776-5231. And you know by now that is the number for the Carol Royce Real Estate team that has been family owned, locally operated through 3 generations of family members, serving you, the people of the Valley of the Sun. And if you're selling your home, getting the right choice is awesome. How about the guaranteed right choice? Because that's exactly what Carol does. Your home sold for 100% of the market value, or she's paying you the difference. So no matter what.
It's a guarantee like a no trade clause.
It's like a no trade clause. You can walk in and say, I'm getting 100% for my home. And she'll be like, okay. And if she can't sell it for that, she's digging into her pockets and she's giving you cash. If you're considering selling your home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Have questions? Call that number you wrote down earlier or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That is carolroyceteam.com.
I don't know if you noticed, we're not in the studio today.
What?
We're actually at Wild Horse Pass. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass, one of my favorite places to spend a Friday night, or any night for that matter. They take care of you like nobody else. They have unbelievable gaming floor that's right down there. We're in the sports book across there. We've got the great restaurant that we spent the evening in. We highly recommend you come out here for your chance to win $5.9 million this big game. And it's free to play. It's a free prop play from January 27th to February 8th. Visit GilaPropPlay.com and answer 26 questions about the big game for your shot at a grand prize. Here's how to play free. Enter for free and make your big game predictions. Instant wins, score instant prizes from $5 to $100 in free bonus plays while you play in a $5.9 million grand prize. It's just that easy. So you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details or check out the link in the description below.
We appreciate everybody who's still sticking around. Just about 450 of you in here right now. We are getting closer to that like goal, just about under 100 likes away. 223 likes on the evening. If we have not hit that yet and you're watching this later on YouTube, go ahead and help us out. Hit that like button. Help us continue to do what we love to do.
No. Hit the like button now if you're in here.
I mean,
we
yes.
got to hit the goal. Noah's put in hard work for you people.
It's true.
And if you don't hit that like button, he might get fired.
Whoa.
All right.
You know it's bad when he had to turn his mic on. That man is not like turning his mic on.
I thought I was doing good.
You're doing great, Noah.
Hey, it's not your fault. It's the people's fault. Let's go.
Yo,
Listen, he's
to
gonna
put your
call you
job
out.
on the line for people things that are out of your control is so insane.
Now, this is the difference between Espo and I. Espo's going to call you out. Me, I'm going to call you up.
Okay, Monty.
I know you can do it. All you have to do is find that like button. If it's on your phone, tablet, computer, it's right in front of your face. And if you're watching on TV, you can also pull out your phone and go to YouTube and hit that like button. I know it seems like a very small thing, but I would not be this annoying about it if it was a small thing. So we appreciate everybody who's already hit that like button, those of you who are going to do it, and of course, everybody who is subscribing. The march to 40K on PHNX is well underway. We hope that you could be a part of our journey. Considering that, let's continue to go with some super chats. Go ahead.
If you're watching on TV, just scream like it in your home. It counts, all right? So just do that. By the way, Noah, I was just kidding. But if you hit like, Bradley Beal might get traded if we hit that. We hit that total.
Hit the like, and Bradley Beal will get traded. Looking at you, Nacho. Juju in that seat, $1.99 super chat, third ever super chat from Juju in the seat. Thank you so much. Says win for my birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Juju.
Says let's go. Katie sold me though. Needed 20 to hit $500. You know a little something about that, Espo.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
You want to hit bets later? You still want to do that?
No, I want to show how close to
you were?
genius I was. I missed the one thing I thought was going to be a sure bet.
Well, that's just how life goes. Teddy with a $4.99 super chat says, quick! They need to convince Golden State to swap Wiggins for Beal before they get on the plane. Would you swap Wiggins for Beal? He says multi-team trade, obviously.
Boy, if y'all got problems with inconsistencies, Andrew Wiggins is not who you want. And I say that with the utmost respect to the champion that Andrew Wiggins is, but no. You see the clip from them in the finals where Andre Iguodala come over here and he's going like this and he's attention to detail to things. It's because he has these highs and lows. If you have issues with Bradley Beal's inconsistency with this team, it's only going to have like a times 10 multiplier if Andrew Wiggins is here.
You want Maple Jordan?
Oh, I don't want.
Yeah, I'm good off that too. I like the idea. I like where your head is at. Athletic wing Teddy.
It's the archetype, but that's the
mentality problem there. Be calm, see clearly. Speaking of mentality problems, says Devin Armani. These are good though. These are great. Thank you. Be calm, see clearly. Says Devin Armani Booker blessed. F the haters 100.
What was the last word?
Gang. I just feel like I shouldn't say that.
I don't know when BCom clearly says F the haters. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Also, with the $2 super chat, it's crazy when BCom clearly says so many trolls in the chat. Touch grass. Get a life. It's a good motto. Touch grass. Funny What with a $10 super chat. Big time super chat. Thank you, Funny What says Grayson. Solid stat line. We could attack some of the others. Grayson with 7 assists tonight. They actually gave him an extra point than what I read off earlier. He had 11 points. Was a plus 17. That is the 4th highest plus minus on the team tonight.
I'll speak to Grayson real quick. For the same ways in which we talk about things that people like Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Nick Richards at times do things that will never show up on the box score but are complementary to everything that the Suns need to do to win games. Mm-hmm. They do those things defensively and in blue-collar fashion. Grayson doesn't quite do it in the blue-collar way, but gravity, creating space. The offense is a fight for space the way that defenses defend in 2024-25. Grayson carves out space for Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to be successful. Oftentimes, he never gets the attention for assists or points from it, but it's as functional as the points that are actually scored because you can't get to that point without him doing what he does.
I do wonder if he is a luxury if you can't move off of Bradley Beal, though, because his primary value to you is, and I know he does the little things, but it's scoring, right? It's shooting those threes. If you can't get off of the Bradley Beal contract and Bradley Beal is going to be your main scorer off the bench and take a lot of those shots, I think it falls to Grayson to be the logical guy to try to help you solve some of these holes that you have in a move that sends him somewhere else. And do I like that? No, because I think he can be that very valuable bench scorer for you. But the reality is something's going to have to change before Thursday's trade deadline. And I look at him and I go, that might be the guy that winds up changing to get you, whether it's that defensive wing or another center that can actually play effective in a rotation. Where if you're going to have to change something on the margins, because I think there's an 80%, 85% chance that they do something before the deadline, right? And if it's not involving Brad,
So we're going to talk about trades in a second, including Leo's Super Chat. Obviously, Grayson at the center of some attention when it comes to the Orlando Magic. We're going to unpack that after we finish talking about the game. Let's continue with the Super Chats. Chris with the $2 Super Chat says, only 24 minutes for Richards is nasty work from Bud. Now, I went into this game saying I'd like to not leave this game scratching my head about some of Budenholzer's decisions. Steven, you mentioned some of the good, maybe some of the bad. Do you think Nick Richards should have gotten more than 24 minutes tonight?
I mean, it felt like he played more than 24 minutes with the impact. This game also entered garbage time, which eats away at garbage time probably started around the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. So if Nick plays those extra 6 minutes, that bumps him up to 30. I don't envision him playing more than 30, especially if you're playing small ball, which they did in the second quarter with Kevin Durant at the 5 for about a 5-minute stretch. That's eating away at the minutes total that he typically would play. just off of the game flow alone.
Well, that's the key. You talked about those minutes where they went small that were beneficial to this team. You take that into account. You take into account how Mason played that we talked about. He got 15. So there's your other minutes in this game, right? And when you're playing a team in Portland who has conventional bigs, you're going to need Nick Richards tomorrow night, right? So I don't have a problem with the amount of minutes, especially with how impactful he was in those minutes, right? There wasn't a need to squeeze more out of it, right? If this were a 3-point win for the Suns and that was the case, then yeah, maybe there's an argument. But when you win by 25 and you get a game tomorrow night, I don't think that there's any problem with the amount of minutes he played.
And that's what we were saying after the Clippers game was Mason had good minutes, but you let it go too long and it hurt you and you barely won that game. Not the case tonight. We'll see if that trend continues. Another trend as far as minutes go, Ryan Dunn, only 13 minutes tonight. That was one there that Mike Budenholzer said he was healthy after last game. He only played 9 minutes. Back in the starting lineup tonight, only plays 13 minutes. That leads me to believe that he's not fully healthy, Steven, because I don't see a world where a healthy Ryan Dunn against this type of team in Golden State plays under 15 minutes in a game.
Yeah. I think it might be a situation where he might not necessarily be on a minutes restriction of sorts, but they're watching how he's moving and how his ankle reacts over the course of increasingly heavier minutes totals. It's that, but it's also in tandem with a game like tonight where you get 3 threes made from Grayson, 2 made from Royce. These are players that are sharing that minutes load with Ryan, and if they're playing to the effect that a game is demanding, this game needed them to knock down threes to combat the defense of the Warriors, and they were doing that, why break that? So it's a little push and pull there. I think when he's fully healthy, I don't know if he's fully there yet. When he gets there, I think it's going to be undeniable that he's playing back to that 25 to 30-minute space he was in before.
I think it was twofold. I think he might not be 100% yet. But I also think this wasn't a game predicated on offense, right? This was a game where they had to have that offense. And you accept that that's when, Ryan Dunn isn't your best option.
Sure.
And Steph wasn't going off in this game. So Bud looked at it and played the hand offensively, and it worked out.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Ryan Dunn, and part of the reason why I agree with Steven and I agree with people in the chat said they're ramping up his minutes, when he's out there, I think he looks okay. I don't see him physically limping around. And the 4 points that he had came off of 2 pretty impressive finishes for him where he rose up pretty high. So to me, it's okay, you are healthy enough to play 9 minutes to 13 minutes. We'll see tomorrow night in Portland back-to-back. Maybe they're saving him a little bit more for that. Play him 15, 17 minutes. Continue to ramp it up. Chat, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Ryan Dunn should have played more minutes. We are about to get to buy the numbers, but let's wrap it up with our final super chat of the night when it comes to this game. Leo, we'll get to yours in a second. Buddha says, I take back all I said about Book the other day. Buddha was, not the highest on Book the other day, and neither were a lot of people. But here's the thing. Devin Booker has a lot of runway to shut everybody up. The season is far from over, and he can now do some of his best work like he does at the end of the season. We appreciate everybody who's watching on YouTube now and later. We're getting closer to that like goal, less than 100 likes away. Let's try to smash that if you are watching on TV. We appreciate you so much tuning in. However, the party always does continue over at GoPHNX.com, not just for Suns, but Cardinals, Diamondbacks, ASU, Wildcats, Mercury, who made big moves in the past week. New super team in the W with the Mercury. Steven, Erica have you covered on all aspects. Go PHNX.com and right here on YouTube, PHNX Sports. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we support the W because we love all hoops around here, and that especially means when Matt Ishbia and the gang are going all in over on the W side as well. But now it is time. Let's get to Buy the Numbers, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes.
What's in the box?
Well, the Suns, season high. Well, that bottom one, the bottom two is supposed to be assists, and assist points created.
Could you imagine 101 live ball turnovers? That's
No,
what the entire
but
season felt like.
41 turnovers, 101.
So only less
Look
than
at that.
Listen, 101 live ball turnovers. I think the Suns got to clean it up, but they're still able to win by 25.
If
Steven.
you can turn it over that much and still win by that big of a difference, you're doing a job. But yes, 41 assists. Needless to say, a season high. I believe the ESPN broadcast said that's the most assists the Suns have had since like 2007.
Yep.
There was a 7 seconds or less rendition that had that total, and then a 101 assist points created. They will. I'll go ahead and say this now. If the Suns ever get that close to 100 assist points created in the game, they're not losing.
No.
That means that they're playing offense. That means that everything is peaking the way that it needs to. Catch and shoot threes are being made. Catch and shoot threes are being generated. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are scoring efficiently. Neither one of them is holding and sticking. The ball's not sticking in anybody's respective hands. That means that their offensive process is peaked.
As Meatloaf said, we opened the wrong box. No, but
yes.
but look, you're 100% right. When this team is passing the ball, right, and generating those kind of assists, they're gonna be tough to stop, right? And you know the Suns have an immense ability to do that because of how much offensive firepower they have. It's just about taking care of the basketball, and tonight they did that effectively, and the ball found the energy. Like the basketball is a pretty simple game when it comes to it, right? It's pass the ball around, find the open man. If you swing it fast enough, you're going to find him, and then you got to make the shot, right? And that's what they did tonight. They moved it around, they found the open man, they made the shot. I mean, it sounds dumb, but that really is the crux of basketball.
It's actually a theme throughout this show. The reason why the Phoenix Suns problems were so freaking frustrating for this entire season is because it didn't feel like it was a stretch to fix them. It felt like simple problems with simple solutions, but they got so complicated and convoluted in between, and it just didn't make sense. And you would see flashes of ball movement. That was spectacular. I mean, we're talking all five players touching the ball, ending with a wide open corner three from one of your superstars, right? That's indicative of great ball movement. Tonight, it felt like it was all 4 quarters of it. And I don't think it's a mistake that when you have that for all 4 quarters, you also have your most comprehensive four quarter performance. I'm just stumbling all over myself right now in this game. So I want to just ask this question to both of you because there's 2 different kind of factions in the chat. There's the B's faction and the Corey faction where B says, enjoy this W. And Corey says, it goes to show you it's about matchups. Warriors beat Oklahoma City. We beat the Warriors. Then there's the other faction. Don't get too excited. The Warriors are trash. They were without Draymond Green. Is there a chance we are overreacting to just 1 win out of 82 games?
Yeah. I mean, there always is a chance, especially with this team that we've seen. But you look. There was a stat that they showed on ESPN that the Suns, I think, have the fifth best record in the NBA in the month of January. Like, I get it. It was against some teams that you don't write home about, but it appears they've turned a corner. And, you know, due to the transitive property, the Warriors beat OKC, the Suns beat the Warriors. That means the Suns are better than the OKC Thunder.
Facts.
I mean, that's just the way it works, right? Now, look, yeah, there's a chance that you overreact to a win, but this is the kind of win you'd want to overreact to, right? Because they played 4 complete quarters. This is the best game we've seen them play from start to finish all year, maybe even in the KD book era. I'd have to go back and look, but this was one of the more complete games we've seen them play. Your center position stepped up. Like all these things we've talked about, there's reason for hope with it. Now, you could completely backslide tomorrow against Portland, lose that game, and all this goes out the window. Or you could play another 4 great quarters like you did tonight, kick the backside of Portland in, and all of a sudden people are going, okay, maybe this is something that's going on here. Maybe with a few tweaks before Thursday, all your fortunes change. I don't know, but I'd rather enjoy this one because they've stacked some of these wins together as of late than sit here and just brush it off because, well, they won by 25, but, you know, Draymond wasn't out there.
This great question, and I think we are approaching it the right way as well. Question is exactly why, for me, I always look at things from a process-oriented lens, because without the context, you can get lost in Golden State just beat Oklahoma City, and they held them to 109 points. So if the Suns can go and drop 130 on them, game enters garbage time with 5.5, 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Suns have arguably their best game of the season comprehensively, 1+1 = 2. Warriors beat the Thunder, Suns beat the Warriors. That means that the Suns are better than both. That couldn't be any further from the truth. That's why I look at the process. For the Suns, are they doing the things that they need to on a gamely basis that are inevitably going to result in wins? The answer tonight was a resounding yes. Think back to the start of the third quarter where they run through multiple actions with tons of movement and screens, ultimately gets into 2 dunks for Nick Richards, coming in 2 different ways. One from a Ryan Dunn drive after the defense just got done scrambling for 17, 18 seconds. The other one off of Devin Booker and pick and roll with him, gets a paint touch, and he's able to dump it off to him for another dunk. There's these scenarios that the Suns can truly be scheme proof. They can truly be put defenses in those can't be right scenarios. And when they play to those strengths, we get the results that we saw tonight. It might not necessarily be to a 25-point extent like we saw tonight, but they can win resoundingly and comfortably against anybody when they play to those strengths.
Well, and I know some people are saying, well, you're still a play-in team. Yeah, but the gap between, like I said earlier, between 4 and 11 is next to nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one win does make a huge deal of difference in this chase for a top 4 to 6 seed in the NBA.
Dallas lost tonight. Golden State lost tonight as well. That's pretty big for the Suns. Those are the 2 teams that were sandwiching them. Phoenix now back in the 8th seed, 25-22, tied with the Dallas Mavericks, who are 26-23. Sacramento Kings, the 10th seed, 24-23. Golden State now 24-24. If they lost this game, Steven, they would have been tied with Golden State. It would have been, and Golden State, I believe, no, they wouldn't have the season series because it was 1-1, I believe. So it would be
have
close.
The leg up.
They would have the leg up. And so you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, we're not talking about the Suns as championship contenders right now. We're taking them for what they are. I appreciate you saying I was right on the show that I was gone, where you just got to take it game by game. It's okay. I got ears and I listened to it. So I think that when we look at this game, as we put a bow on it, I think Joe put it well, is that I think we're overreacting to losses too. So we got likes. And we get likes. I just saw Noah's comment. We have overreaction in a good way and in a bad way. But when you talk about the process, Steven, yes, the Suns put up 130. They also eliminated Golden State to 105, and they've had a pretty good stretch of defense as of late.
Yeah, you come into a game against the Warriors, who's at the top of the scouting report and is involved directly in everything that you're looking to mitigate as much as possible.
Quentin Post.
Oh, you mean that 2K creative player they started at center?
I was like, Alperen Şengün Jr.? Sorry. It's obviously Steph Curry.
I think you could have started Post Serial there at center and been just as effective. Anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Steph, I'm glad y'all brought the dramatic effects to it, the comedic relief. Stephen Curry. And you all see the numbers that Steph put up tonight. 5 of 14 from the field, 1 for 6, 1 for 6 from deep, 14 points. This, last time they played the Warriors, Steph was clearly hurt. He had just came back from, I think, having some fluid drain from his knee or something along the lines of that. Clearly was not himself. That's not the case in this specific game. For him to have played to that level and the Suns to have defended him so sustainably well speaks to what they're capable of. One of my most recent Steven studies, the film sessions, we looked at them defending Cade Cunningham. He didn't struggle to the extent that Steph did, but they made him take shots that they wanted him to take. And this is just another example of them going against a premier guard, another all-star guard, where it's not one person shutting that specific player down, but a team effect. Everybody's on schedule. Everybody's where they're supposed to be in help. They're playing with the requisite level of activities, and they're doing it across multiple quarters. I don't think it's that hard for them to recreate this in a way that's specific to each game. Next game, they got Anthony Simons. He plays in a lot of similar ways to Stephen Curry. Are you going to be able to repeat it in respect to the dynamics that he brings to the game? That's where this team is going to turn the corner and leap out of the play-in realm into being a top 6 team if they're going to do it.
Let's clarify it. He's like a photocopy of a photocopy of Steph Curry, right? Or
Yes.
for you younger kids, it's like taking a photo of Steph Curry with an iPhone 12.
And then deep frying it. We do have some more super chats. Holden with a $1.99 super chat says, "Love the show. Steven is my favorite."
That's actually my burner account.
I was about to say Steven's my favorite too, so I think we're all in tandem there.
Appreciate y'all. It's a team effort, though, over here.
Yeah, that's why you're our favorite. Alyssa with a $1.99 super chat says, "Hey boys, woo, what a win! Looked good all 4 quarters." Do we have any other final thoughts on this game specifically before we talk a little trades? And of course, we'll be back tomorrow night. Blazers, Suns, pregame, postgame, all right here on PHNX Sports.
Take it as encouraging, but like everybody said, you need to see it repeated. But we're starting to see more games look positive than negative where we were earlier, and that is what you want. So tonight, hopefully, is another step in that right direction, like Steve was talking about the process and the way things come together.
For me, it's the defense sustaining. That's your number one outlet to everything that you desire to be as a team this season. Whether you make trades, whether you stand pat, whether you find a happy medium where you do something that's not necessarily the extent of Jimmy Butler, but something that helps to add to what you already are establishing in the process, it has to come from the defensive end. When they can play off of their defense and play off of stops that often, that weighs on teams because when they're creating the advantages they did tonight and they're shooting that efficiency or even half of that efficiency, when they compile that many stops, they're near like the margin for error for opponents is very slim.
Tonight was the blueprint, and the blueprint feels really good. Play good defense, run through your stars. You might not need both of them to go off, but they could step up in separate ways in order to elevate you and be the team that you should be. If the Suns want to squarely be in the playoff contention, in the play-in contention, they need to take care of teams like Golden State. They need to take care of teams like Portland. And throughout this season, we've hit so many low lows. We've talked through all of it, every single game here. And we have seen some of the darkest of times with this team where they felt like there was no hope. So now that there's a little bit of hope, I'm taking a lot of that with me. And maybe it's going to bite me in the ass later, but I don't care because I'm finally getting some of that this season. And I know a lot of people in this chat also feel the same way about it. Hit that like button. We're almost at 300. We're going long for you guys. Gila's going to have to kick us out. Make sure you hit that like button so we can pay our bail.
I think they actually called security.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's here anymore. I think we're shutting down the casino.
They left us the key. We had to close up on the way out.
All right. Well, speaking of moving and shaking and changing, NBA rumors are flying. We are less than a week from the trade deadline, and the Phoenix Suns, surprise, surprise, Espo, are smack dab in the middle of all of it.
Really? Who would have guessed?
Now, I'm gonna open things up because we saw reporting about the Orlando Magic, Grayson Allen. We put a tweet out there about Goga Bitadze. Right? We know that Jimmy Butler is still in play, but we also have this tweet from Gambo saying it's not Jimmy Butler or bust for the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are looking at many options to improve the roster, and chances are they do make a deal by the deadline. Gambo followed up, said about 20 players are now going to be in play as far as who the Suns are looking at. Are we happy that it is not Jimmy Butler or bust for the Phoenix Suns?
Well, I think even if you got Jimmy Butler, you still needed to be in conversations around the league exploring things. You know that you got to trade Nurk, right? So that's definitely one move. If you can find a suitor for Bradley Beal that can bring you back a piece that's actually going to fit a little bit better, you're going to make that deal. I think 20 players should be in the mix right now. You should be making every phone call you can, trying to figure out how you can get better, even if it's just on the margins, even if you're just trading that trade exemption for a guy that you think could help in 5 minutes a game. Whatever the case may be, you got to be exploring every way to get better, because despite the fact that they've played well in January, we know that they're not at a level to be a championship team yet. You need to add those pieces. So, yeah, I'd be making calls on anybody and everybody that I think could make this team a championship contender.
I think you said that extremely well. And for me, to answer the initial question directly, Gershon Yabusele, that's the exact style of player in terms of his approach and presence on the game. can stretch the floor offensively, can bring you versatility that you need to connect and play a complementary style of basketball around your best players, can step up and roll like we saw and knock down some threes in a timely manner when he was with the Sixers against the Suns earlier this season. Defensively brings you versatility, brings you size to match up with someone like Julius Randle, who was running through the chest of every Suns defender that decided to step in front of him in the second half of Wednesday's game. That's the exact archetype that they should be looking for. Jimmy Butler is the pie in the sky. I think there are in-between players like a Gershon, like a Robert Williams III, that are blue-collar, bring different types of multiple efforts for you and all align with the defensive end of the floor, bringing more value there than they will to your offense. Those are the style of players I think they should be targeting. And to answer the question you posed, are we glad that it's Jimmy Butler or is it not Jimmy Butler or bust? Absolutely.
Yes.
If they were a top 5 team in the West and they had shown less than half of the weaknesses that we've seen, and Jimmy Butler was the only thing you felt like could solve it, cool. But you're not in a situation to throw all of your cards to the table for that because Bradley Beal has to allow for you to make that happen. And there's no guarantee that we've heard or seen that he will. And because of that, even with Jimmy, you still have to make at least one other move to be where you want to be.
If it was Jimmy Butler or bust, somebody should be fired because it's a dereliction of duty.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's
With
malpractice.
this team.
For sure.
So who is at the top of your guys' list beyond Jimmy Butler? I think can we all agree that Jimmy Butler, even though it's not him or bust, he is that number one trade target for the Phoenix Suns as far as what we would want them to do?
For me, you need that guy with edge. He fits that box. So, yeah, I would think that would be top of my list. It's a risk, but everything you're going to do is a risk right now.
You agree with that, Steven?
As the top target?
As the top target.
Yeah, for sure.
So who falls in
If we're
underneath?
speaking role players, if the Gershon news is true, because he's coming on a minimum contract and the value that he would provide on both ends of the floor, you literally cannot put a value on that.
Yeah, Leo with a $4.99 super chat way earlier in the show. Thank you so much for your patience, Leo. I know you're still in the chat. Says, would you trade Tyus for Gershon Yabusele?
In a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. I would do it.
You agree?
I would
You're
do
not
it.
using Tyus the way that you should use him if you want him to be a starter. So yeah, I would definitely explore that. The other one for me, Goga Batadze.
I agree with that,
I
too.
I got slaughtered by some people on Twitter for saying I'd make that deal with Grayson and him in a heartbeat. Especially like I said, if Beal is still on this roster. And I don't care that you have, that would put you at like 5 centers on your roster if you didn't move Yusuf Nurkic. You're going to move Yusuf Nurkic. You're going to use a first-round pick. You're going to jettison him. I still think you need another center. I'd make that move. I think he fits this team well. And so I would look at that. Like, that would be another name that I'd seriously consider.
And I love Grayson, and we've talked about this on PHNX Suns. We'll probably unpack it a little bit more going forward. We will have a trade deadline special early daytime edition show leading up to the trade deadline on Thursday. We'll be live reacting to all the deadline news and everything that's going on. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. Drop down below who you think is going to be the number 2 trade target for the Phoenix Suns. We believe Jimmy Butler should be number 1. Should it be Goga? Should it be Gershon Yabusele?
Shout out Robert Williams III. I'm going to keep on saying that.
Yeah, T in the chat with the $5 super chat says, Jimmy Butler brings too much drama. Let's do some rapid fire to end this show. We all lost our bets, and it sucked. Espo barely missed his bet by just a couple of KD points. He hit this all
6.
the other massive legs.
6 KD points for plus 4,500. And
he would have been in first place. He would have gone from worst to first. However, he still is in worst. In the middle is Steven. He also missed his bet, and I'm in the lead, but I also missed my bet. As well, Optical Illusion asked in the chat if I'm worried about the Blazers' most recent wins. I think it just goes to show you that even the bottom teams in the NBA can pick up some wins over some good teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magic. I think it'll be a good test against the Blazers tomorrow, but certainly a team the Suns should beat not only tomorrow, but in back-to-back games. Anything else that we left on the table here before we wrap it up live from Gila River Resorts and Casinos?
No, I mean, look, I think everybody should be around their phones and ready for alerts coming in anytime now because there's a lot of smoke. We have not seen, any big trades go down, but there's rumors, that the De'Aaron Fox move may be happening in some kind of 4-team deal. Wouldn't be shocked if the Suns might wind up in that. There's all sorts of rumors going on. I think we're going to be in for a busy next 6 days. And, on top of it, you might see Devin Booker set the all-time scoring record for the franchise. KD hit 30,000 points. Like, there's all sorts of craziness that's about to go down, and we'll be here for it all.
For me, it's sustain. It's cute to do it in one game. This is not the first time we've seen them do it in one game. You have a stretch. This is arguably the most important pocket of games over this 6-game stretch for the Suns. This is going to be something that they're heavily gauged on. And whatever trade they might bring in, whatever pieces they might bring in via trade, they're only going to add to what they're doing in this pocket of time. So are they going to do what they need to do again and again? Or are they going to falter and continue to play the ebbs and flows?
Only one way to find out.
By the way, shout out to Buddha the Schizo,
Yeah.
who hooked up Steven and Noah with his latest album.
Mm-hmm.
Buddha, I'm still waiting to get name dropped and be in a music video. I'm here.
Yeah, we're
Nothing
on the
screams
lookout.
rap music like Espo.
Buddha and his friends and I, we had a conversation about everything. There might be something in the work. You just hit me up, Buddha. We shout out to everybody who came out and joined us at our live watch party. So many people that I got to meet and make friends with. We appreciate our Phoenix Suns community. If you couldn't make it out there, we still appreciate you. It's why we do this, because community is important. It's the best way to enjoy sports, and that's why we focus on it. So make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports. Join our community. Be a part of our family. Become a diehard today all over at GoPHNX.com. Before we wrap up, lots of questions in the chat about can we shout out Sophie Cunningham. Now, obviously, big trade for the Mercury. They're going all in. They're trying to accumulate another big 3 in the Valley. However, Steven, they had to sacrifice not only somebody who on the court from the Mercury has been a mainstay, but in media and advertisements in the Valley in Sophie Cunningham. You got a quick thought on the massive Mercury blockbuster that went down earlier today?
If we're speaking of Sophie, then I refuse to not only speak on her, but also Natasha Cloud.
Facts.
Natasha was only here for 6 months, 1 season, but the impact in the community and wearing Phoenix on her sleeve, it was there. So salute to her. Trades are tough. Salute to Sophie Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Trades are tough again, but it's part of the business. It's kind of what KD just got done speaking to. It's a little bit of the law of the land, especially with this high movement era that we're moving into with the W.
I got a theory on why Sophie was moved.
What's up?
Tom Chambers and Eddie Johnson were worried about their jobs and demanded it. That's what I heard.
I hear that.
I mean, it's definitely possible she will be missed here in the Valley, but who knows?
Guess what? You miss Sophie, and then you get to lean into getting to learn Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabali.
It's going to be a real exciting season for the Mercury. Who knows? Maybe Sophie finds her way back here, but you are going to want to tap in with PHNX Mercury. Of course, Steven, Erica L. Day have you covered on that side of things as the W season gets closer and closer, unrivaled still going on. And, of course, the front office for the Mercury and Matt Ishbia making massive moves. Speaking of massive moves, thanks to everybody who helped us get so close to our like goal. We hit almost 300 likes. I know we didn't hit our goal. However, that is a lot of likes. Every single one of those likes means so much to us. So thank you, everybody who's hit that now, who's going to hit that in the future as well. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with the PH. And you can follow Espo at Espo. And y'all already know how to spell it.
294 likes. So, everybody,
Bye-bye, Noah.
It's been fantastic, Noah. We appreciate you. And I guess I'm producing tomorrow. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.